Hello and welcome to the final episode of How to Actually Improve Series 2. Previously, I have covered system mechanics, weak spots and vital areas, proper positioning, pattern recognition, creating and capitalizing on openings, stagger control, attack fishing, and weapon mobility. Today's episode will encompass the entirety of those lessons in the form of calculated aggression. To the internet, calculated aggression is the willingness to press your advantages when you're most likely to come out ahead over the long run. In short, take actions when you have the advantage that have the potential to benefit you beyond that moment. If you're just attacking the monster willy-nilly without a game plan, you are increasing the likelihood of your reckless actions catching up to you or getting a lucky moment by saving yourself for just a second. In game, you have split seconds to react to this information non-stop until one of you leaves the area by foot or by cart. Whatever action you take, however, should be the one with the most benefit in a situation that has a better outcome for you. What you're willing to risk must come with an equal or greater reward. Speaking of risk, you need to understand risk assessment. Basically, understand danger and how to minimize the impact of it. It's best to use your better judgment and avoid putting yourself into a worse-off situation. Yes, we all want to get that flashy hit in, the true charge slash, the elemental discharge, the spiral slice, whatever it may be, but sometimes it isn't the right time to use that flashy attack. You have to pick and choose the best moment. If the monster is mid-attack or used an attack that has the potential to combo or has low recovery, then you should already know not to use an attack or an item that you can't get out of safely. Likewise with counters, if you know the attack being used can't be countered without great risk and you're not blessed like the longsword, you shouldn't risk it all for the one hit unless you have a backup plan. If you don't, leave it be. If you don't have any setup or you aren't sure whether or not you can get a flinch or a topple or come out on top of this exchange, then don't overstep your boundaries. That's not to say you can't limit test. I do it all the time as it is possible to learn from pushing yourself past your limits, but if you don't want to make that risk, you really don't have to. I'll cover 2 scenarios where I do something good and 2 where I do something bad. First up in our bad roster, Chaotic Gore Magala uses a rush attack that has a moderate recovery time. I start attacking, but here is where I messed up. I wanted to see if I could get the lucky wing break with the morph double slash. That's a big no-no. I ended up in an animation I couldn't get out of, and even though I managed to dodge the initial hit, I took the secondary explosion anyway. This is a small mistake that made me miss out on a few seconds of free hits on Magala's recovery animation. On that good note, Gore Magala ended up using that same rush move, and since I'm privy to its pattern, I used attacks that I could recover from quicker before it was able to turn around so that I could go for my counter. Upon succeeding the counter and maintaining my position between its wing arms and its head, I was given enough time to break the head, which led into a little bit more damage on my end. For the second bad play, Gore Magala once again did the same tackle attack, and my Intrepid Heart ate it, and I got what I presumed to be a flinch, but because we were so close, I could not recognize whether it was the end of the animation or he just straight up flinched. Rather than try to regroup and get out, I go for a sword double slash, and upon recognizing the attack that was about to happen, I tried to counter with the little prep time I had rather than evading, which as you can see cost me a cart. The final play I made was a premeditated risk. I had dealt plenty of damage to Gore Magala's head before it was able to leave the area. Once I arrived in the new one, the time allotted to reset the monster's attention would make it roar. Rather than use the elemental burst counter, I opt to strike it with attacks that I can recover from and evade if need be. I do this because elemental burst counter would leave me in an animation without a lot of time to recover, especially with hit pause, which would bleed time away from me capitalizing on the topple. I bet on using normal attacks because they would let me evade cancel into a chase on the knockdown. The risk of using the normal attacks is if I fail to knock off the supercharge, then I have to evade to dodge it or eat the immobilization. I mentioned the previous 9 episodes because they play an important role in your risk-taking methodology. You should know what to hit, where to stand, what attacks a monster uses, and what conditions forces them. This is no longer about the monsters. This episode is about how you choose to perform with the tools at your disposal. Yes, as a switch axe user, zero-sum discharge is great, but is that something I should just throw out for the heck of it? Consequences be damned. Not at all. It's easier to land ZSD on, during, or after a flinch, or before a monster recovers from a topple. You have to show restraint with your attacks because your big, bad, crazy attack isn't the only thing in your arsenal. Now, you knew this moment was coming. The example monster I chose for this episode is Primordial Malzeno. There were so many choices, the best being between Crimson Glow Valstrax and Risen Shigaru Magala, but Crimson Glow doesn't emphasize risk, and Risen Shigaru is more of a spectacle in essence than a learning device. And I also hate that thing. It is within my sincerest belief that the devs created Primordial Malzeno as an answer to the madness we're capable of doing in Rise. Not only does it reshape the attacks of its base form, but it actively forces you to consider when and how to counter with attacks that have powerful follow-ups. Radial attacks and combos that really hammer home the idea that it's always the monster's turn to act, you're just waiting to stop it for a fraction of its uptime. That's all before it hits the berserk state. You're going to have to change around a lot of how you approach particular situations so that you don't have to face the misfortune of being two-shot. Anyhow, here's the madness. Forgive me for this, I don't actually have a script written out, but thank God I requested time off in advance for the 14th and the 15th because I scrapped the original video of this when I woke up and rewatched it today at 3 a.m. I rewrote the whole script, had to make new text bars and everything. It's currently 10 a.m. and I'm still recording. Maybe I'll shoot Diaga a message for emphasis. And the icing on the cake, I'm sick as hell right now. Not your generic YouTuber, oh, my voice might sound different. Nah. My nose is so clogged, I've been forced to become a mouth breather. My throat is on fire. I can't even drink water. Anywhoosie, thank you, truly thank you for everyone who has stuck by and watched the series, whether you found it on your own or the lovely people I'm associated with on Twitter who retweeted this. And hopefully many of you learned enough to start recognizing how you could actually improve. This whole thing isn't specific to Rise, but spans across the entire Monster Hunter series, as each game may look different, but at the end of the day, it's all still the same Monster Hunter system. I understand that I've done beginner and intermediate guides for general knowledge, so the expectation is that I'll be doing like advanced at some point. So yes and no. I have plans in mind to release more speedruns, cover new topics, and make discussion videos and all that jazz, but that doesn't mean it's the end of my guides. In fact, let me drop one on you real quick that I've been slowly adding to in the background for a while. And now that general information is on hold, I figure it's time to put my 8 cents in the bank. Because if you already enjoyed how I made this guide, oh, you're definitely gonna love how I make this one. So if you're looking to improve your Switch axe or pick it up for the first time, I 100% have you. And just don't expect it too soon. I want this one to be better situated than my Series 2, where I'm not up at 3 a.m. freaking out because I made a schedule that I expect people to kind of follow. Never doing that again. Regardless, my name is Monster Hunter, and until next time.